The role of media. What is the media? The word media means different things depending on how it's used. Media is the plural form of the word medium. A medium is a method of communicating information, entertainment, or other messages. Television is one popular medium. Radio, the internet, and cell phones are all examples of commonly used media. The term mass media refers to methods of communicating with large numbers of people. A lot of media exists purely for entertainment, such as movies and television sitcoms. But when you hear the phrase the media, usually it is referring to the sources of our news and information about current events. Paying attention to the media is how we stay informed about what's going on in the world around us and what our government is doing. The media as gatekeeper. A gatekeeper stands guard at a gate and decides who gets to pass through and who doesn't. In its role as gatekeeper, the media decides which stories and issues are important enough to receive public attention, and which aren't. As a citizen, it is important for you to realize that there are many serious events and issues you will never hear about on the evening news. Each news outlet has its own criteria for deciding which stories get through the gate and into the public eye. To understand why, you need to understand two things. The media is a business, and the media is almost always biased. Gatekeeper. B is for business. Most people get their news from television, radio, or a newspaper, either print or online. With the exception of PBS, the public broadcasting system, most are commercial or for-profit services. They make money by selling time or space to advertisers, but advertisers won't pay for ads nobody will see, so for-profit media must make the news as exciting as possible to attract lots of viewers. But let's face it, news programs are not always as exciting as, say, action films. In order to survive in today's culture, television news must keep things short, fast-paced, and exciting. On-the-hour radio news is even shorter. Stories most likely to get through the gate are those that are the most gripping. Ever wonder why the news is full of car crashes and house fires? Or that affect the most number of people. If a story can't be told in a quick 15-second soundbite, it's likely to be left outside the gate. Gatekeeper. B is for biased. Biased means favoring one view over another. As a human being, it is impossible to be completely unbiased even if you try. The media is made up of human beings. Therefore, even when media outlets try to be unbiased, they're not always successful. Bias may cause the media to open the gate to some stories instead of others, or to report stories in a way that is weighed towards one side. There are many causes of bias. The most common among media sources is being more politically liberal, leaning toward the Democrats, or conservative, leaning toward the Republicans. The media as agenda setter. Because of its role as gatekeeper, the media is largely responsible for deciding what issues society discusses in the public sphere. That means the media also determines which issues are on the public agenda, which is the to-do list of issues the public agrees are a priority. An issue won't get on the public agenda unless it is being discussed in the public sphere, and it won't be discussed in the public sphere if no one has heard about it. The media's role as agenda setter is controversial. Some people don't think for-profit corporations should set our public agenda. They worry that many important issues will never get public attention. Some issues aren't exciting enough to compete with entertainment. Others are too complex to fit into a short soundbite. Although the public decides which issues to care about, the media only tells the public about a few of the issues that exist. Therefore, people worry that the public does not really have much of a choice about what issues are important. People also worry that a biased media influences the public agenda toward one way of thinking over another. The media as watchdog. A real watchdog stands as a guard and barks loudly to alert the owner if something is wrong. In its role as watchdog, the media keeps watch on the government and others in power. It speaks out to alert the public if something happens that shouldn't. Local news stations often have a segment in which they investigate problems for people. Entire hour-long news shows are devoted to exposés, which are stories designed to expose wrongdoing. Government officials who engage in bad behavior know they will be on every news show and newspaper in the country if they are caught. Although a watchdog will bark when there is something wrong, most of the time the watchdog just watches. Thanks to the media, we live in a world where we can turn on the television and watch our government in action at any given moment. Stations such as C-SPAN broadcast activity directly from the floor of Congress for everyone to see. Simply reporting information is playing watchdog too. Without the media, we would not know what is happening behind closed doors. The media's audience, you. A watchdog doesn't do any good if nobody is paying attention. The public sphere and the public agenda both depend on the same thing, the public, which is made up of people like you. If the media reported on an event and nobody watched or responded, it would have no influence at all. In the same way, the public influences the media's opinion because the media can't function without people's attention. How people respond to the media's reporting can affect which stories get through the gate. Here's what you need to do to make sure you finish everything I want you to do today. Number 1, take the quiz. You're not going to know the deal because today's the first time you're doing it, but they're usually 3 questions, 6 points total, 1 point just for answering a total, 2 points for getting it right, 0 points for not getting it done on time, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. Go back and listen to the video to find any answers, and if you're really stumped, it is open book, open note, open internet. I would say maybe go over, grab a textbook, and see what you can find. Then you're going to complete the review activities. They're checked for completion. Instructions to complete the activities are... After you've picked up the review sheet, this is what you should see on the front. Of course, yours looks a little different because I chopped mine up so it fits in a PowerPoint, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at newspaper headlines. Headline influence. Each pair of headlines introduces the exact same story. Read the headlines and answer the questions. So I'm going to look at questions 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to give you the answers to those ones, and then I'm going to help you understand what's going on in the remaining ones from 4 through 15. So if I look at questions 1, 2, and 3, they're based on the headlines. Foreclosure rates hold steady for A, and U.S. home seizures reach record for 3rd time in 5 months for B. Question 1 asks, which one emphasizes that lots of homes are being foreclosed? Well, if a home is foreclosed, it means that a bank takes it back because somebody was not paying to live in that house. So if I'm seeing one that says U.S. home seizures, and then I see this word right here, record, I'm going to know that's meaning that if something is at a record, it means it's at the most it's ever been. That means that definitely B is emphasizing that a lot of homes are being taken. Which one is trying not to alarm people? So if I see that something's holding steady, which means that it's being consistent, I know I'm not going to be alarmed. The other one is definitely alarming, that you see that the seizures are at a record rate for the 3rd time in 5 months. So that's definitely going to be A, that is not very alarming. Which one sounds more dramatic and interesting? Well, again, I already have records circled there, but if something is trying to sound dramatic, it will talk about records and make it seem like it is very big news. So which one sounds more dramatic and interesting? We're going to go with B, which means that you're more likely to read that headline for B than that headline for A. For 4, 5, and 6, it's talking about graduation rate, and you're just going to be looking at 2 headlines about the graduation rate in Indiana. The next one talks about a shooting and 2 different ways that it is reported. 10, 11, and 12 are looking at an article about Al-Qaeda, which was a terrorist group that was partially responsible for the attacks on 9/11. So there's 2 different headlines about Al-Qaeda, and then the last one talks about pensions. Pensions are systems that help people save money so that they can retire. So go ahead and work through numbers 4 through 15 on your own. All you have to do is pick whether it's A, B, or both. And then the final page is when you get to try being a newspaper writer and set your agenda. Try your hand at being a media mogul. Imagine you are creating a news and opinion publication. The first thing you need to do is set the focus of your newspaper and create an agenda. So the first thing we're going to do is A, mix and match. Match an intention with an issue to create your own personal agenda. So what we could do is we could have our intentions to raise awareness for something, call people to action for something, make people care about something, point out the problems with something, change people's minds about something, or elect politicians who care about something. So I'm going to do this along with you, and I'm just going to pick one randomly. I'll just pick number 1. So my intention is going to be to raise awareness about, and then we have a couple different issues that we can pick from: poverty in America, disease in poor countries, America's military, finding renewable energy, finding a cure for some sort of disease, saving the blank from extinction, whatever thing may be endangered, reforming the education system, America's healthcare system, homelessness, drug and alcohol abuse, legal immigration, or any other major issue that you could see being important. So I don't really know which one to pick, so I'm just going to pick the first one, which is poverty in America. So I just picked the first two, but I want you to pick two that you care about. And then you're going to write down your agenda. I'm not going to write it out because I'm using the pen and it can be very, very sloppy. But my agenda is to raise awareness about poverty in America. So I have my motivation about what I'm going to be worrying about. Then you're going to promote your agenda. You're going to create 3 headlines that will appear on your site. These could be news stories. You'll probably have to make up those news stories, or editorials, which are opinion articles. Remember to connect the headlines to your agenda. So if I'm trying to do a news story about raising awareness about poverty, I could say something along the lines of a certain percentage of American students live in poverty. And then I could write an article about what that means and how it impacts students who are in poverty. And then an editorial, an example of what I could do for an editorial, is I would write some sort of opinion. It is a shame that there are so many students living in poverty, and just do something to express my own opinion. So you're going to do that for your own. Pick something you care about. Make it something that you actually would want to write about. And take your time on that one and make sure you get that one done. So that is everything that we have for today. Hopefully you listened to the mix, took your quiz, and worked along with this review sheet. Please let us know if you have any questions or concerns, or if there's anything that we can help you with.